From the shores of Malibu where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China and back to the streets of Las Vegas, where the UFC is returning. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show we talk about what you think about but may be afraid to voice. Do not worry, we will voice it for you. This is No Holds Bar Radio, folks. Everything we discuss, sex, drugs, rock and roll, UFC, politics, COVID-19, film, TV, you name it, we talk about it. I'm here with my co-host, TJ DeSantis, back from a week and into the new week. And TJ, how are you?
I'm good, Bruce. How are you?
I'm really good. We have on our special, thank you very much. We have on our special friend of the show, best friend of mine, good friend of yours. Can't say best friend unless he says it, TJ. Sorry, I got to hear it from the horse's mouth. But
man.
I'm sorry. What can I do?
Like self-conscious about my relationship with Jon Anik already.
I'm jealous. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, you gave away who it is. Thank you. But it is none other than the commentator to the stars, the commentator to the fighters, the commentator to the champions, and the commentator to life. None other than Jon Anik. Jon, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. It is a pleasure to be with you boys. If I didn't have 3 children, we would have 60 minutes, you know? I mean, I want to spend all day with you boys. I miss TJ. And even though I saw you a couple of days ago, Buff, you know how I feel about you. So it's nice to see you.
I appreciate it. Let me just wipe this way. Well, what a weekend, Jon. That's all I can say. What a weekend. We have to talk about UFC 261. I'll preface it by saying this. You know, we're back. Crowd sold out 15,000. Looking forward to that happening on May 15th. Looking at happening in June, May 10th with Mayweather. Oh, excuse me, Mayweather. Listen to me, Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. But wasn't it like Brazil, Jon? I mean, for me, the moment I walked out and there was maybe 2,000-3,000 people in the arena before the first fight, and they gave me all that adulation that it caused me to walk in the octagon, which I've never done in the States. I've done that in Brazil because, you know, I want to set the tone before we start. There was just from that moment, you realize this was going to be a really special night, aside from the card, which was crazy.
Imagine being one of those first 2 athletes, Liang Na and Ariane Carnelosi, in almost any other climate, certainly in the United States of America. You walk out and you don't hear a goddamn thing. And these are 2 athletes that obviously the crowd was not familiar who they were, and it did not matter, right? Fans were so jonesing to be back in the building. We had fans coming from all over the US, presumably all over the world, who just didn't want to miss this event. I had Brian Stan texting me last minute, considering flying in from Atlanta because he wanted to be in the building. So when I put this event on a pedestal and I talk about being the most memorable live event that I have ever been a part of, it makes me feel good to see TJ nodding his head, because I think when you combine the backdrop of fans for the first time in a year, the gruesome nature of the 2 injuries, then leading to some of the most incredible finishes in UFC championship history, it was the most special night I've been a part of, recency bias or not.
I'm with you all the way, because quite frankly, I think it falls into 25 years of my announcing. I think I can honestly say this is in the top 10 greatest UFC events I've ever announced overall. You know,
I mean, give it top 5, Buff. For Christ's sakes, you went into the octagon to cheerlead for these people. Give it top 5.
All right, I'll give it top 5. It was. I mean, it was for many other reasons than just the amazing lineups and the you know, there were shockers, there was drama, there were surprises, there was no surprises. The first 2 fights of the night, you know, with Liang Na and Ariane going into the Molina fight. I mean, and then winning the performance bonus of the night. I always worry when the first 2 fights are so incredible, you wonder how the rest of the night's going to be, right? Because we've had that Jakes before, but this was not about that. This
Guys, Joe Rogan was crying in the center of the damn octagon. It's number 1. I don't care about recency bias. It's number 1. And it comes down to one thing for me. It's energy. And I'm a big believer that the fans in the building propel these athletes to the greatest heights. And Jon, you brought up the first fight of the night, you know, relative quote unquote no-namers to fans that are in the building. But this is something that just felt different and felt special for a variety of reasons. It was similar to an event that I saw live, which was the final WEC, where we had the Showtime kick and just a night of violence closing out the WEC. This was that magnified by, I don't know, 100 probably is a conservative magnification, because this, like Bruce, you said, represented a lot. It wasn't just the sport on a pedestal. It was just society and culture getting back to normal. And I mean, it felt like something special through the television, guys, I got to say.
It did. Every single fight. And then we had little situations occur. And we'll get into the fights in a second. But Jon, you were there, like, for instance, when Jake Paul was doing his thing with DC or whatever.
Jake Paul was there? I didn't know.
Oh yeah, you didn't know. Oh,
I mean, how early? I can't believe we're going to invoke the name Jake Paul before Kamaru Usman on It's Time Radio right now. I mean,
let's leave it alone then.
No, it's okay. I mean, no. Hey,
I'm just talking about the strange things that happened that night combined with everything else.
This was a pop culture, though.
Yes, and DC was afforded 2 minutes to go make his point, and he came back to the broadcast table, and I will just tell you, not a bead of sweat on the man. Okay. No. Cool as a cucumber. Yeah. He clearly got his point across. So good on Daniel Cormier. But I like hearing TJ sort of put this event, in that context. And in terms of the athletes and this as a performance enhancer, okay, if you dismiss this as a factor in some of these performances, then you're just not paying attention. When we sat down in our fighter meeting with Chris Weidman, we talked to him about the crowd as we did to a lot of the athletes. And he said, if you have a bad warm-up in a COVID-19 climate, and then you walk out to fight at the Apex, you're in real trouble because there's no crowd that's going to put a Band-Aid on your bad warm-up. But in this climate, you have a crummy warm-up, you walk through that tunnel, and they eliminate your bad warm-up because they give you this natural source of adrenaline and a rush. And there are a lot of these athletes that the part of the reason they got in the game was to perform in front of an adoring crowd. So give me all the fans and all the super spreader events that we can put on.
Well, you said it, I didn't. So speaking of super spreader, listen, I'm vaccinated. You're vaccinated. We're all vaccinated, to a large extent. It was still a little nervous with all those people in there. I mean, again, I'm going to apologize to the fans. As I said before on a couple previous It's Time radio shows, I apologize. I wasn't walking up, taking the pictures, shaking the hands, but I do practice safety and protocol. And with 15,000 people in the arena, odds are that there was some COVID running around there somewhere. So got to be careful.
And I went the other way and just started taking pictures with everybody without a mask.
Oh, I'm a jerk now.
And no, because you're the ultimate for all these people. But no, I was softly given an eye look by security, like, hey, this is not really how we're going to be doing this. So I went to the other side of the arena. I said, I can't touch any of you fine Floridians, but I love you all and I'm glad you're here. But no, it was special for all of us. And it's just going to be interesting. No one had a mask on, obviously. It's going to be interesting now as we go to Houston, as we go to Vegas for July, and just to see how this continues, right? Because we are now out the other side. And I know for the UFC executives and for Dana, wanting to see how this event happened. And, as I sit here now, I feel pretty damn good. And I was very much exposed. So, I think it's an encouraging sign that we got one in the can. Don't you think?
Yeah. Definitely encouraging. I took another COVID test today, mailed it in just to be sure, 3-4 days after.
Yeah.
Just be safe as always. For my loved ones and everybody else.
I've given up worrying. I'm just going to tell you straight up. I've given up worrying.
If you saw me in that arena, you would be like, that dude ain't worrying about a thing. What is he doing?
I've worried for a year, guys. I've taken, not as many COVID tests as you both, but plenty and my fair share. And I don't know if I ever had it. I don't know. But I do know that I'm going to go crazy if we don't get back to normal somewhat soon.
Slowly but surely it's happening. I don't know if we'll be back to completely 100%, normal, maybe 95, whatever, but it's happening and we're getting used to it.
I've never been normal. I don't know about you two, but
I can pretty much say the same thing, but we're vaccinated. The bottom line is there's a shield of armor on us right now. If we, God forbid, something happens, it won't be as bad according to science. So let's just go with science. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Getting back to the show. Wow. First two fights leading up, going in, Carl Roberson, Brendan Allen, Alex Oliveira getting taken out as fast as he did by Randy Brown. Very surprising. Very great performance by Randy Brown. Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute. This was the night we saw two fighters get hurt. And Jimmy Crute, the leg buckling obviously rings very well home with me, wondering how bad that's going to be for the gentleman, Jimmy. But strange win for Anthony. It is a W. Hate to see fighters get hurt. Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman. The irony, as we all know, that Chris Weidman, who did pretty much the same injury to the great Anderson Silva and returns to get it done to himself, not purposely, but unfortunately by Uriah Hall. I've only seen this injury 3 times in my 25 years of fighting, Corey Hill being the first one years ago. It's brutal. And now Chris and I have been texting each other. I'm sending him a bottle of Puncher's Chance. He says he loves bourbon. I figure you're going to be tired of painkillers. You need this to help you get with what you're getting. But he's great. He's good spirits. He's good spirits. He's been operated on, and he's got a task ahead of him, John. I don't think he can be back for at least a year with this injury. I mean, they say 6 months, but my God.
Well, no, 6 months just to
train.
No, I mean, I wouldn't expect him to fight for probably 18 months or so, but the safest bet in the world is that he will fight. And, I hope that this isn't shocking to people when I say this, but it's like Kobe Bryant is dead. Okay. And oftentimes these days when bad things happen, right? My twin brother and I will find ourselves saying to each other, yes, this is a terrible thing, but you know what? Kobe's not here. And there are a lot of other people that aren't here because of COVID-19 or whatever else. And I think for a man of faith like Chris Weidman, you build yourself up mentally to be able to survive things like this. And he certainly has a great support system around him with his family and his children. And of course, as I mentioned, his faith. And if you've watched his Instagram videos, this dude is so mentally forged that when he was writhing in pain on the ground, he said his inner monologue was trying to think about how to make this a positive experience, literally on the ground, writhing in pain. He was actually having thoughts about documenting his recovery.
Most people are trying not to go into shock, and he's already like a road to recovery.
Exactly. As somebody who has had a spiral fracture of their femur, granted, I was 5 years old, and who has gone into shock, right? This dude, so impressive. And TJ and I, and you, Bruce, obviously, but TJ and I in particular are exceedingly close with Ray Longo and have been for years. Yeah. And it was really hard for us, I know, from that standpoint for Ray. And yet Ray is just like, he's seen it all at this point. So when I spoke with him on my drive back from Jacksonville to Boca Raton, Florida on Sunday, not that he was minimizing it, but he just wasn't nearly as emotionally consumed by it, I think, as some of us.
Has anyone had a weirder, more strange 2021 than Ray Longo in the corner of both Aljamain Sterling and Chris Weidman?
No, and they respected what he went through, or they all went through. No, it's just very strange, very strange. You wonder about the mental and intestinal fortitude, knowing you got about 2 years of recovery ahead of you to get back to normal. I forget.
That's going to bother him for the rest of his life. You don't break a bone like that and then not feel it when, the dew point goes whatever way it needs to feel it in your bones.
Well, yeah, agreed. But also too, then there's that PSTS, or I always get that wrong, PSTD, whatever, of the injury, that when you go back into spar, much less into a fight, is your leg going to maintain that strength? I mean, is it going to happen again? It's unavoidable.
But this guy's finding silver linings while his leg is chopped in half. Like, I mean, if there's anybody that's going to overcome the mental issues that a horrific injury would be, like, it's going to be Chris Weidman.
He has a strong road ahead of him. He's got warrior spirit. He'll get through it, but man, that's a tough one. This is a tough one.
He won't come back a kicker, right? I mean, he kicked Uriah Hall's leg. I don't know what the miles per hour were, but with every ounce of him, I mean, if you listen to our podcast this week, Longo was saying the way he was warming up in the back, one of their legs was going to break. I mean, this is Chris was ready to kill, man, some people have suggested, pre-fight x-ray might have shown how sort of damaged that bone had been. And, all I can tell you is that he will kick again. He'll kick again with it, and it'll have a rod in it, and he won't be afraid to kick it. But I do believe he is such a skilled martial artist that he will work around this, because again, this calf kick and low kicks, right? It's not just the person absorbing it, right? Jim Miller kicked Joe Lozon in a fight with a calf kick and had shin pain for 3 years. And he said, when you watch my film and the ensuing fights thereafter, the reason I wasn't leg kicking is because I was in pain. People are like, Jim Miller's getting away from the leg kick. It's like, no, slap dick. I've been hurt for 3 years. So it's not just absorbing it. You pay a price to shin or toe or knee or ankle or foot anytime that you're throwing a low kick.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And we all know that Longo said they trained in a certain way when Weidman checked that kick for Silva, and look what happened. So
there's another thing too. I think there's a bit of a misconception about fighters conditioning their legs and their shins. Yes, you can condition your shins and legs to kick, but you're deadening your nerves, not necessarily always making the bone significantly stronger. That's a lot harder to do. So the idea, I heard some people saying that Weidman didn't condition his legs properly. It's like, I don't care how conditioned your legs are. When that happens, like, it's just going to break. Like, it's the irresistible force meeting the unmovable object.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter. You can go kick as many trees as you want, Muay Thai style. The bottom line is
you're not going to feel it anymore, but it doesn't mean you're not doing damage to your own leg.
Exactly. It is what it is when it happens, and God forbid it doesn't happen. So all the best to Chris Weidman. Chris, you're a true warrior. Uriah Hall, we know you're a warrior. I hate to see people get hurt on my shift, much less anybody else's shift, but this is life, and it's the game in which we all play, especially the
I
fighters.
stubbed my damn toe, and I can't even find the silver lining in things. So Chris Weidman's a friggin' hero.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Jessica Andrade and Valentina Shevchenko. You know, the Valentina is diversifyingly proving what a great mixed martial artist she is. To subdue Jessica Andrade from her striking game, to take her down, the power that Valentina showed leading into the victory that Valentina received. What more can we say? She's incredible. Question, is she going to fight Amanda Nunes, John? Are we going to see that?
So I said on the broadcast, her appetite for well-roundedness as an athlete and a human being is something that I have never come across in my life. And she doesn't have this great desire to be the greatest of all time. She's a very wealthy woman right now, having 5 times successfully defended her title. She's done so on some big pay-per-views. This was obviously a big pay-per-view point night for her underneath a Jorge Masvidal headline card.
Right.
And the challenges are running out at 125 pounds, obviously, but there are hurdles with a trilogy fight with Amanda Nunes, you know, namely that it's not at the top of Valentina's wish list right now. She seems contented to defend her title, to try to clean out the division. There are still fresh names like Lauren Murphy and JoJo Calderwood that she has not beat head to head. We were talking about maybe a name like Jermaine Durandamy, right? Like some super fight type fight at 35 as a main event, even a non-title fight that would just competitively scratch some sort of itch, you know. Right. But I think for Nunes, she has 2 head-to-head wins over her. I don't think you're going to see Amanda compete at 135 pounds long term. So it's a difficult proposition. The one thing I will say, though, Amanda Nunes is fighting Juliana Pena, who in my mind is a live underdog to potentially unseat Amanda Nunes. Maybe it won't happen. But Valentina has fought a lot of these elite women at 135 pounds, like Holly Holm, like Juliana Pena. And go see what go see what Valentina Shevchenko did to Juliana Pena in a main event on Fox several years ago, right? So let's see if Amanda Nunes can be as dominant against Juliana Pena as Valentina Shevchenko was. I guess it's a long-winded way of saying it's at the top of my wish list as a fight fan, but I don't think either athlete has the appetite for it right now.
I agree with you. I've thought about it myself, and I couldn't say it any different. I actually agree with you, you know, and then the other question is, just like getting back to Israel Adesanya, why not just stay in your division, even though you've cleaned it out, and just dominate it? Just dominate it. It happens all the time.
And I don't think he's cleaned the division out. So,
well, maybe that was an aggressive term on my part. There are other people to fight. Yeah. There's no question. Yeah. And I am with you on Pena and Nunes. That's not a guarantee. Not a guarantee at all.
Woman in MMA. I mean, it's a huge challenge, obviously. But there are variables for Amanda when she cuts down to 35. And again, how many championship training camps and championship fight nights are we going to ask Amanda Nunes to be perfect for, right? She's always perfect. Like I always said, Floyd Mayweather, never flat on fight night. Not one time, this guy. Some slow starts, but never flat on fight night. It's asking a lot for Amanda to keep being perfect. And if anybody can beat her at 35 other than Valentina, for me, it's Juliana Pena, and I'm glad she's getting the shot.
Well, it's an exciting matchup, and that's what the UFC is all about. So let's just look forward to that, and we'll make our judgment calls before, and we'll make our results analyzation after. But I'm very excited. UFC just keeps. There's so much entertainment coming up. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just I feel like I'm at a UFC buffet, and I can't get enough.
Yeah, you know? It's a good way to put it. No, the cupboard is not bare, my friend. And even if you look at this weekend's fight card, I mean, the main card is really deep and has some fights that will keep me up on this Eastern Standard Time zone. So, yeah, man, it's a good time to be a UFC fan, no doubt.
No question. And you would talk about next week. What about the week after? Which I won't be there next week, but this weekend. But I'll be there the week after. Unfortunately, TJ Dillashaw's fight has been called off. Corey Sandhagen due to a headbutt. I was texting TJ this morning about that. That's not a good feeling, but that card is loaded. Immediately, Diego Sanchez Cerrone will probably slip into the main event, but you got.
They will not.
It's just loaded. You don't think it will?
No.
Which one do you think will become the main?
100% it will not. There are some reports out there as to what the UFC is going to be doing, but I know too much right now to have this conversation.
Yeah,
but don't. Sanchez and Cerrone will not be the headliner.
Jon Anik making his pro MMA debut, main event.
Again?
Your pro debut, John.
John. It's you. You're the main event.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I'm having an amateur fight in 2023, TJ. Let us not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay. All right.
What is it going to be, John? John the Animal Anik? What's the nickname? What do we got?
No, it's the Anaconda, and it goes in front of my name.
Anaconda, John. I like it. The Anaconda.
But no, it might be Johnny Blaze because it is more appropriate.
Because it's more appropriate. That's for sure. All right, John, we know you got to go. And
I have till 2:35 Eastern if you want the 7 minutes.
I want the 7 minutes because Zhang Weili, Rose Namajunas. Let me tell you, when Rose walked in that octagon, I saw fire in her eye that I've never seen before, and I always see fire in her eye. But when she was shadow boxing and throwing those concise, powerful 3-4 punch combinations in the corner, waiting for Zhang to walk into the octagon,
right?
I thought to myself, there's something going on here.
Yeah,
there was something going on here. Do you think Zhang was affected at all? Being the great fighter she is, by those boos and by the exception she got walking in the arena.
For the listeners and the viewers and for TJ too, I wonder when you hear Bruce and I say things like, we've never seen Thug Rose Namajunas have that type of fire in her eye. I hope that doesn't fall on deaf ears, right? Because so much of Rose's success has to do with whether or not that fire is in her eyes. And she was as intense as I've ever seen her, as focused on the task at hand as I've ever seen her, as prepared for a fight as she has ever been before. She executed perfectly, as Pat Barry texted me after the fact. She was ready to kill, and she has so many weapons. It's amazing to think back to her days of flying arm bars, right? Because she's one of the most brilliant strikers in the game. And it's amazing to hear UFC strikers and fighters talk about her on the feet in these glowing terms. But yeah, Zhang Weili was surprised by the boos. We referenced it on broadcast, and I think she was a little bit fazed by that. And hey, back in the day, it was asking a lot for Jessica Andrade 3 months after winning her title to go to China and fight Zhang Weili in her backyard. I mean, there is some sort of home court advantage. And, the Americans made Rose Namajunas feel at home. So,
I thought it was interesting that a lot of people were kind of getting on the American fans for booing Zhang Weili. I understand that, maybe you don't want to boo, or maybe it's a bad look, but in Brazil, they literally chant, "You're going to die." You know what I mean? Like, there's something about playing an away game that is great about sports.
Let me ask you this. Why is patriotism accepted in Brazil and Australia, but not in the US, right? Like, when I hear American UFC crowds start with their USA chants, I'm thinking it's about fucking time. You know,
right.
Can we get behind the American athletes? When Michael Chandler goes to Fight Island with Stars and Stripes, it's like, are we Americans? You know what I mean? It's like, so I love the Brazilian nationality and the pride and everything. Buff, how special those shows are.
Oh, yeah.
But, once in a while, it'd be nice for an American athlete to walk out and feel like they got a home court advantage.
Agreed. No, and I think a lot of them got that feeling on Saturday night for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rose, it was emotional watching her that night. It was a beautiful experience to watch her. Zhang will be back stronger than ever, I'm sure. Let's see how Rose reigns. Second time wearing the gold around her waist. Yeah. Unbelievable. And her faith and her belief in herself, unbelievable. So wonderful thing. Congratulations, Rose.
A lot of big fights.
The patriotism quick thing, real quick. I remember there was like a show on the East Coast one time, and I think this is sort of where the narrative in MMA about American patriotism kind of gets a bad taste left in people's mouths. Yuki Kondo fought Trevor Prangley. Yuki Kondo from Japan. People were chanting USA in support of Trevor Prangley, who's from South Africa. But he was the white guy fighting the Japanese man. So, you know what I mean? But still, like, the bottom line is combat sports all around the world, in sports in general too, all around the world, is a point of national pride. And for whatever reason, you're right, John. I feel like Americans are almost made to apologize for it.
Then people are trying to draw conclusions as to why they are booing. Like, I'll tell you right now, if I'm an American going to a sporting event and I'm drinking, having a good time, and it's an American fighting a Canadian, like, I'm gonna have fun. Okay. Maybe at the Canadians' expense. So
perception is reality.
How dare the Red Sox fans boo the Yankees when they
right. I mean, that's why I'm just like, what is the problem with, like, it's a way of showing support to the other athlete, but I'm just excited for Rose because it's such a great team and these people are so easy to root for. And there are a lot of big fights ahead of her. If she wants them, she wants to be champion now. And that hasn't always been the case. And that's a very interesting.
It's incredible. Okay, we got 2 minutes here. John, Kamaru Usman. Kamaru
We finally nailed that down. Kamaru Usman. What else can you say, right? UFC president Dana White took the podium at the post-fight press conference, and he suggested that Kamaru Usman is on his way to becoming the greatest of all time. And that is what I see right now. And when you talk about 14-0 in the UFC and the potential to go to 17-0 in the UFC and unseat that record of Anderson Silva's, doesn't get any better than that. And certainly the Demetrius Johnson fans will say, hey, man, you know, I thought he beat Cejudo and who knows, but that's revisionist history, right? Kamaru Usman is continuously getting better. As he's not 38, he's 33. And he's had 2 massive paydays inside of 71 days. Go back to Fight Island last July. You're talking about 3 pay-per-views that he has headlined here inside of 10 months or so.
All exciting fights.
I mean, what else can you say, man? The world is his oyster right now. And real quickly, if he were to go right now, Covington rematch, Edwards rematch, and like a win over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Yeah. He could be the greatest of all time for me, for sure. So he's well on his way to joining Johnny Bones.
Again, I agree with you 100%. And what a class act he is, both in and out of the octagon, the way he handles himself. Love seeing him put the belt around his dad, family inside, the whole bit. Just wonderful. So much emotion for me and so much emotion for you and so much pride in what we do. It was the ultimate night in the Ultimate Fighting Championship and an ultimate experience for you and me.
You put it well. Question. And then I come home and it's like daddy daycare, right? I'm flying to pick up a child. You feel like you're living 2 lives. Honestly, I know TJ can relate, you know, coming back from these shows. It's like, oh, honey, are you well rested? Well, it's rhetorical. We don't care how rested you are. Why don't you pick up a child or pick up a mess or do something, make yourself useful. So yeah, that's what I'm about to do.
I just offer to buy more Fortnite V-Bucks.
Right.
Hey, whatever it takes. Listen, John, before you go, Conor McGregor sold a large part of his company. He'll still stay on with Audi and in their faith, 600 million.
Yeah.
Proper 12. I don't know how much it's going to break down and cash up front, but the money in this game is ridiculous. But good for Conor. Good for Conor.
I'm a puncher's chance guy myself.
So am I. Here we are. Big cheers to Puncher's Chance.
See, I do have a bottle of Proper 12 in the shop.
That's okay. That's all right. It's all good.
But no, I'm happy for Conor. And, you know, he's a master, man. Even the way he just handled that donation to the Louisiana.
What happened with that? Did he make the donation? I forget.
He made a donation to the Boys and Girls Club of Louisiana so that the kids that he wanted to benefit from his donation will, but he was put off by the fact that Dustin suggested the donation was delayed or not coming. And so he pivoted from Poirier's foundation to the local Boys and Girls Club. I mean, it's a well thought move. I think Audi was probably behind it. But yeah, I thought it was a nice stroke by Conor, not unlike Proper 12.
Was it a $500,000 donation?
Yes.
Good. Okay, good. Man of his word then. That's how you got to put it right there. John, I know we got to go. I definitely got other things to talk to you about, but I really appreciate you on the show. I'll see you what? May 15th?
I will see you May 7th.
May 7th. I'll see you there. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Very excited about the show.
For having me. Sorry my window was short today, but pleasure's all
okay. You got Puncher's Chance shirts and hats on the way, my friend.
Yes. So I can stop wearing Bilal Muhammad, remember the show t-shirt.
I like it. Enjoy. John, best of the family. Say hi to Chrissy and the kids. Thank you. I will see you very, very soon. Thanks for giving us the time today.
Anytime. Great to see you, boys. TJ, take care. Brucey, see you soon, my man.
All right, Johnny. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, John.
Jon Anik, folks. Always a pleasure to have John on the show. So analytical, and he's right. I mean, yeah, top 5 shows. I'll give it that. There was just honestly, it might even be in one of the top 3 or top 2. That show just had everything combined with the fact you're dealing with 3 champions.
I told you it's number 1. Like, stop making excuses for it. I know recency bias and I know hyperbole makes a lot of these things sound like it's disingenuous, but you tell me a show that's better right now, and I can't find one. I don't know.
Okay. You know what? Again, perception is reality. I mean, you call it whatever you want. I'm all good to go. You know what I mean?
But like, this is a night that I will remember for the rest of my life. And I was sitting in my studio. That tells you something. I've been to mixed martial arts events, Bruce, that I don't remember, like been in the building, like with you. I don't remember those nights. I'll never forget this night, and I wasn't even there.
I'm with you. I'm with you all the way. Totally all the way. Let's get into some news. I think we've kind of really enjoyed that. I'm still high. I'm still amped. Okay. I know when I came out and did the It's Time and at the beginning, and I think UFC posted something and ESPN and all, and it kind of went a little viral, but The show obviously had a large pay-per-view audience, but you could see, I saw it in my face when I looked at it. I go, yeah, that crowd affected me, because I've been doing this in front of no crowds and bringing the heat, but the crowd definitely got me going. So thank you, UFC fans. I love you. You're the greatest fans.
Energy is something else, Bruce. And that's why I think your job, while some people may not respect it as much as they should, you set the table, you drive that energy. And if you take away the energy, you'll have a flat night of fights. I promise you that. You have the energy, you get things like we saw last Saturday.
Exactly. And if you don't feed and roll with the energy, then you're not doing your job. You're letting the people down. I don't let people down. Exactly. I try to do the best I can. Okay, now let's go on to a couple other things here. Thank you, TJ. It was announced yesterday that Logan Paul is going to be boxing Mayweather June 6th. Logan and I were texting each other last night. He's ready for it. It's amazing. It's a money grab. It's going to be a lot of money for both. Millions of fans of Logan.
Fight, right?
Pardon me?
It's not a pro fight, correct?
I don't know how the details are. Again, if Logan's last boxing match was considered a pro fight, then this will be an
exhibition.
It's got to be an exhibition. It's got to be an exhibition. I don't know how it's going to affect Mayweather's record.
If this is a professional fight, shame on the athletic commission for licensing it. I'm sorry. It's just there's no way you can justify.
Where's it going to be held?
I don't know. That's the question. But I also said that I didn't think Conor McGregor should necessarily be licensed as a pro boxer and have his fight with Floyd Mayweather approved, because Conor lacked the boxing experience. We all saw how that turned out. Bottom line is this: Floyd Mayweather steps in the ring with Logan Paul. Floyd's going to take care of Logan. He's not going to hurt him. He's going to go, rounds with him, and maybe he'll ultimately get a stoppage towards the end of it. But he's going to put Logan through his paces, and it's going to be a spectacle. And if you want to buy it, buy it. But let's not for a second treat this as a professional boxing match. You're frozen. We're back.
And we're back. Finish what you're saying. I lost you for part of that.
All I said was it shouldn't be a pro boxing match. We shouldn't treat it as such.
No, it should be an exhibition, as all these fights should be considered exhibition. It's, on one end, I'm fine with it. As I've said before, it's make money, it's entertainment. And anybody that says, as people were saying on my post on Instagram, why are you doing that? I'm not going to watch it. You know what? There is a UFC that night. I'm sure you'll all enjoy it. They're going to time it so you can see both. You're going to watch. Okay. You're going to watch.
I won't.
Oh, you'll watch after a repeat to see what happened.
No, I didn't even see Jake Paul and Ben Askren.
Oh, if I'm free and I'm off that weekend, it works out, I'll watch it.
I won't pay for it.
I'll go somewhere where somebody did pay for it. No,
I mean, again, this is my thing. I watch combat sports generally because I want to see who the better fighter is, who the best fighter in the world is, for that matter. I know who the better fighter, the better boxer between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul is. And outside of a Logan Paul knockout that everyone freaks out, I don't need to see it. I don't really care.
No, I'm with you, and I know that's a feeling for a lot of people, but it will get.
Bruce, I'm not kidding you. I'm maybe unhip. I only know Logan Paul because he's been on this show. That's it. Logan Paul's nobody to me.
Well, I know you mean that respectfully. You mean that,
right? I'm not
his audience.
I'm just right. I'm not denying his reach. Yeah, I'm just saying, to me, I don't know much about him. And that said, that's probably why I don't really care to see him box Floyd Mayweather.
And that makes total sense. But the millions of fans that he has, 25 or more million on Instagram,
that's fine.
That's why they're drawing 7-figure pay-per-view buys. It's going to make a lot of money. Mayweather's the fans will want to see what happens. Yeah. And there'll be ones that don't, like yourself. It's okay. It's going to get a ton of views.
Put Logan Paul in the octagon of the UFC. I'm curious now.
I know. I've been curious about that since the beginning because of his wrestling background, but that's up to Dana and the powers that be. Right. And Jake Paul is not fueling that one very well. So.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Like, I know they're twins, but there's very much a yin and a yang. The way that Logan sort of carries himself, I can see him making a lot of things happen. Jake may make some things happen, but it's almost to spite his persona. It's almost like he's the heel. You know what I mean? He's the bad guy.
Well, you put it well with the yin and yang comment. And Logan Paul was on our show and even commented on, his brother. It's
they just like flip a coin, decide which one was going to be the good cop and the bad cop. Like, I don't
know. No, I think from what I remember Logan talking about is he has no control over his brother, and his brother is a wild child, to whatever extent. I mean,
who was more popular first? Like who?
I think it was Jake, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to ask my boys, but I'm not sure. I don't even want to say. I don't know. All I know is they're both popular, and Jake's getting more popular for good and bad reasons, as we've seen, good and poor reasons, as we've seen. And Logan's on a steady, constant float. Hey, do your exhibition, make your money,
sure,
train, have fun.
I'm not going to be mad at anybody for going to make $1.
Well, let's talk about another one coming up. Okay. Mike Tyson tells TMZ Sports his next boxing opponent is all lined up, and it's a rematch with Lennox Lewis.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So, question, will that be, is the commission going to look at that as an exhibition? I would think the same thing. They're both, it's got to be an exhibition.
Yeah. Think. Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, it should be the same thing that the RJJ fight was.
Yeah. So whatever Tyson was going to fight Holyfield, that fell apart. Now this is what's happening. But we're hearing all these things come out. It's real when it's set in stone. Paul and Mayweather now is supposedly and respectfully set in stone. And so are all the great UFCs coming up. So we have a lot of entertainment, and we're all done with the fighting. Let's go on to some news. Remember I told you about that story of Manhattan Beach, that LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn and the rest of the county was going to possibly return a black family's beachfront property that was stolen.
Yeah, I remember that years ago. Yep.
Well, it looks like it's happening. They're going to make amends. They're going to give the land back.
That's great.
It's incredible. I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's going to set a precedent for sure. There was another incident here. It was in New Hampshire. There's been a couple of instances with fires breaking out, these gender reveal parties, right?
Yeah.
So they had a gender reveal party in New Hampshire, but the whole area, these towns were rocked by this ground shaking blast. They used explosives to reveal the gender of their unborn baby, right? They used 80 pounds of tannerite. 80 pounds.
80 pounds?
That's an explosive target that's used for firearms practice. Okay.
Like
80 pounds. Exactly. The explosion they did knocked pictures off walls of neighbors, cracked the foundations of neighbors' homes. Well,
cracked the foundation?
Cracked the foundation. In 2018, a tannerite explosion in Arizona at an Arizona gender reveal event. I don't know why they're related to gender reveal events. Set off a 45,000 acre wildfire. People.
We had it last year in California.
Yeah. Stop this.
Yeah.
Stop this. Just stop it.
Hey,
it's ridiculous.
I celebrate everyone who's welcoming a child.
Yes.
It's exciting to find out if they're.
I'll do a cameo for you. I do them all the time.
Exactly.
Don't explode things.
Don't burn down the world, please.
Oh man. Jesus. Unbelievable. I don't know. I guess that's going to fall into our stupid is as stupid does. I'm very happy they had a baby, but that's not the way to do it. Here's another one that's really interesting under stupid is as stupid does. A Florida couple went and searched out this like very expensive dream home. Mm-hmm. They didn't own it. It's like a 16,300 square foot, 1,500 square meter mansion, right? So they show up on their weekend for the wedding celebration, the ceremony Saturday, brunch on Sunday. Okay. The estate has a bowling alley, swimming pool, waterfall, hot tub, tennis courts, gazebo, 800-foot bar, the whole that. They actually set up and trespassed on the property and held their wedding on the property without getting permission.
Wait, what?
So the day that the thing was happening, the guy that owned the place said that people were trespassing on his property and that they were harassing him and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
And he said, they're having a wedding here. I don't know what's going on. All I want is for it to stop.
Like, we're going to have a wedding here. All right.
Yep. The police came.
You want to talk about feeling entitled? My God.
Unbelievable. It's a $5 million home. The police came and
like, what do you,
they stopped it. They stopped it.
Like, how do you say like, oh, I thought I could do this because what is that? Because
they sent out elaborate invitations. They planned it like a normal wedding.
Did they just hope that they wouldn't be home?
Supposedly they had contact with the person earlier when they went to see it, and they said could they have their wedding there, and it was like a few months later if he could use the wedding, and the owner said no, and they went ahead and did it anyway. I don't get it.
It's a huge liability to have that many people on your property, because if anything goes wrong, it's on you.
I don't know what the legal recourse out of this is going to be or what's going to happen, but
well, I mean,
somebody's going to have
homeowners insurance, but like, yeah, if someone like falls on your property, like you're going to be on the hook for it generally. That is bizarre because
it's very bizarre.
Think about this. Like, not only is the wedding party trespassing, but all of their guests are. Like, I don't even know how you handle that. And like the embarrassment that you would have as the wedding couple to like have to be like, yeah, sorry, we can't get married here because we never got permission and whatever. Bye.
Crazy stuff, but we live in a crazy world. No question.
You know, a lot of people might just go with it, Bruce, because they're too, tentative to sort of be assertive and be like, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? They might just be like, I guess we're having a wedding.
I don't know. Plan it, rent it, do it legal so it doesn't get interfered with.
Seriously.
Whatever the case might be. All right. TJ, that's really about it. I just wanted to go over, UFC 261 rather. And of course, the upcoming UFC this weekend. Very excited about May 8th show. Like John said, that's going to be awesome. Sorry about TJ Dillashaw with the headbutt, which again is another example of going in hard sparring before a fight, or just a mistake that happened.
Not much to say about it.
Not much to say about it. It is what it is. As the saying goes, it is what it is. How long has it been since TJ fought?
2 years.
Ouch. Ouch. So what is that? Probably a 90-day mandatory suspension?
Nah, he won't be suspended because it wasn't like in actual competition, but obviously
prevent it from being okayed. Yeah, it has to heal.
Obviously. Yeah. I mean, there have been fighters that have been cut and glued back together days before their fight and they fight. I know an athlete that actually got a bit of plastic surgery to make sure that they could still make their fight.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, I mean, bottom line is this, to me, sparring is a very tricky thing. When you look at guys like Robbie Lawler, who've been in the sport for a very long time and said that their career longevity was based on the fact that they just gave up sparring. I know you need to do it, but at the same time, sparring is not about impact. It's about timing. It's about footwork. It's about understanding the ebb and flow of a fight. You can do that without getting hurt. And I'm not saying that they were careless here, but I mean, a headbutt this close to the fight, I don't know, man. It definitely is unfortunate.
I agree. I agree. Sorry, TJ, but you know what? Again, another fighter with warrior spirit. You've been patient this long. Got to be a little more patient, and I'm sure the UFC will have you back in headlining an event again, hopefully against Corey, because he deserves the chance to do it too. So what can you say? And it always makes you wonder, all this training, everything, then the headbutt, and of course, Corey and him walk away with no money, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue here, right?
Yeah, after paying for the training camp. The life of a fighter, loneliest job in sports. And here's an example of how it can go awry, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, fighter spirit is more than just the heart that you show inside the octagon. There's a lot of heart that has to be shown on the outside as well.
Exactly. And speaking of a lot of heart, Mother's Day is coming up. I'll be busy doing Mother's Day videos at brucebuffer.com and a Cameo. Already Mother's Day orders coming in. I love my mom. She's my rock. I will take great honor in doing videos and audios to celebrate all of your Mother's Specials Day if you care for me too, because Mother's Day is a big day. And what can we say? Hopefully we all love our moms. I know I do. So all good. TJ, go ahead. Let's sign off. What's happening?
Extra rounds coming up today as people hear this Thursday. Going to be joined by Boss Rutan to celebrate Pride Never Dies on UFC Fight Pass. Rewatching some old fights from the monster, Kevin Randleman, the late Kevin Randleman, paying some respect to what he did inside the Pride Fighting Championships ring. Pearl Gonzalez on the show. Ray Longo is supposed to join us. He was going to come on this show today, Bruce, but he was traveling. He's headed to Las Vegas, so he was unfortunately unavailable for us today. But we'll probably get Ray on the air relatively soon. And that's it. Check out Extra Rounds on UFC Fight Pass, or you can download the podcast wherever you get podcasts.
Fantastic. Tell Boss, give Boss a hug from me, or whether
it's already in the can, Buff.
It's in the can. I was going to tell you to tell him that he's still the most handsome man in
he knows.
martial arts. Yeah.
He knows.
And then the fight the Boss had with Kevin Randleman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, was definitely one of the more epic, I thought. I enjoyed.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, but Boss is such a great individual and one of the true ambassadors of the sport. We should try to get Boss on the show sometime.
I'd love to get Boss on the show. Maybe we'll, talk about the karate league he's working with and stuff. And I always told you, if I was in a street fight, you asked me who I want beside me. I want Chuck Liddell and Boss Rutan right beside me.
Yeah, I mean, Boss has got a whole instructional series on street fighting.
I love it. Bang, bang, bang,
bang, bang. Yeah, no,
it's the best. Yeah, check out that street fighting video on YouTube. It's awesome, and it's got some good information. Not that I want you to get into a street fight.
No, but just know the techniques in case you need to defend yourself.
With you all the way, TJ. Okay, with that being said, we'll be back next week. I'm excited to have a comfortable, relaxing weekend at home. Got some special plans.
Enjoy it.
And I'm going to enjoy, and then back on the road again next week and the week after, and the week after that, being the UFC road warrior that we are. Great experience this weekend. Be back for the big show in Houston. Everybody set your goals, write them down, be the best you can be. So when you set on that path, you are performing at your best. And that means you're winning. And that's what we're all about on It's Time Radio. It's all about winning, folks. So with that being said, I wish you a great week. Much love. Be safe, everybody. Stay well, be healthy, love life. Buffer out. Thanks so much for tuning in.